In this video, I will show you 5 Raspberry Pi tips and tricks that are very quick and very easy. Some of them needs the Raspberry Pi OS graphical interface, some of them require execution of simple terminal commands, and some of them can be used while you're preparing to burn an image on a SD card or USB drive. These tips are just perfect for the upcoming holidays. During your free time, you may want to try multiple setups, different operating systems, headless IoT projects where you don't need the graphical interface, and so on and so forth. So, buckle your belts as we're starting with Raspberry Pi tip number 5. From my list, you may already know that there is a tool coming from Raspberry Pi organization called a Raspberry Pi Imager. This tool can be started on every major operating system, and it can be of a great help if you want to burn an image for your Raspberry Pi. But did you know that this tool is having an advanced menu that is accessible by pressing the Ctrl plus Shift plus X buttons? From this advanced menu, you can set your host name, you can enable SSH server for remote login, and you can set a password or public key authentication. You can also configure your Wi-Fi credentials. So, you can set all of these things in advance, and when burning the Raspberry Pi image is complete, all of the essentials will be pre-configured for you. You just have to plug the SD card or USB drive to your Raspberry Pi and to power it up. Did I also mention that from the comfort from the Choose OS, other specific purpose OS, you can select and burn Home Assistant operating system. How cool is that? Cool or not? Here comes the Raspberry Pi tip number 4. Do you know from where the real power of Raspberry Pi OS is coming from? It is coming from this small black box icon right here called Terminal. This is where you can run commands and scripts. But did you know that pressing Ctrl plus Alt plus F1 to F6 can open 6 different full-screen terminals? This can be very handy if you are in the zone of bash scripting or v-editing. When you exit that zone and you want to return back to the graphical user interface, just press Ctrl plus Alt plus F7 and you will see the regular desktop as well as the next Raspberry Pi tip number 3. Do you know that Raspberry Pi OS reserves a certain amount of memory or RAM for the embedded graphical card or GPU? That is totally fine. But what if you're not using any graphical interface and you're running a headless smart home project or any other kind of project that requires terminal access only? What about just the opposite? Maybe you want to boost a graphics intensive application by giving it more memory. Depending on the case, you should change the allocated memory in the Raspberry Pi configuration under Performance or using Terminal Raspi Config tool. You can also allocate the subscribe and bell buttons if you want to receive notifications when I receive new videos. Now, let's allocate together the Raspberry Pi tip number 2 from today's list, which is how to print screen or take screenshots. This couldn't be easier if you are inside the Raspberry Pi graphical interface. Just press print screen and a PNG image will be placed in your home folder. But what if you want to do the same from the terminal? Or you're wondering how to take screenshots remotely over SSH? It's all possible and it is not hard at all. Just use scrot tool from the command line. Here is an example. Log into your Raspberry Pi using SSH. Install scrot tool if you don't have it already. Then type the following command. This will make a file named screenshot.png in your current folder. You can transfer it back to your computer by using the scp command, for example. Any image viewer can open that file. And I'll open the Raspberry Pi tip number 1, which is temperature related. Do you know what is your Raspberry Pi CPU or GPU temperature? Here is how you can check that. For the graphical card or GPU temperature, open a terminal and type, to get the Raspberry Pi ARM CPU temperature, type the following. Then divide the result by 1000 for more human readable format. Alternatively, you can use this little script, which is doing the same for you. If you're in the graphical interface of the Raspberry Pi OS and you see half-filled thermometer on the screen, this means that the temperature of the core is between 80 and 85 degrees Celsius. If the temperature is above 85 degrees, a full thermometer will be shown. In these cases, the CPU will be throttled back to reduce the core temperature and overall performance will be reduced. So, watch carefully your Raspberry Pi temperature, as well as my new video next week. Follow me on Twitter and join my Discord server. Happy holidays! Bye!